Hello, welcome back to another video. Today's video, I'm going to show you how it took me 2 days to paint this caliper purple. Right, the first thing I've done is actually jack the car up and take the wheel off. It's in need of a refurb again, this wheel, I think, so that's something I'm going to do in spring. And as you can see, they were painted in like a pearl blue, so I'm now going to change this to a purple. It's not been actually too bad, this paint. It's the same makeup paint I got for the purple. It's held up really well. This has probably been about 5 years, so it's not too bad a condition. What I'm going to do is actually release the actual caliper, I think, swing it up out of the way, and give it a really good clean. Take the pads out, and I'll do it with the pads out, I think. The correct way of doing this is actually to remove the entire caliper and clean it all up and paint them off the actual car. I did that on the Nissan. I did it on a video, actually a complete video breakdown on how to refurb them all. I'll put the link here somewhere, you may find that interesting. And I think I might even whack a little bit of paint on the old dust shield as well. It's getting a bit crusty. The whole car is really underneath. I'll probably give it a clean under here as well. See if I can tidy it all up again. Put that back in there. I've got to repair the front splitter again. So it got damaged at the MOT place. But generally just tidy it up a little bit. And I think I may even in spring resurface this as well with some Gravitex or some bed liner. But it's not too bad for a, what is it, 20-year-old car, so it's not really all that bad. Just needs a bit of a clean and a refresh. The end of the steering rack is good. Track rail ends are new. I'll replace these when I do the suspension again. Did that in a previous video. These are Dorenzo lowering springs. They're supposed to be about 30mm, but I think it's a little bit lower than that. Again, they're getting a bit crusty again already. But then British Roads, salt, I used to use it as a daily driver, not so much now. But I think I may even change these bolts as well. These are just self-tappers, so I may even put some of the stainless ones in there as well. I'll leave. Anyway, I'll get the, I think it's a 14, maybe it's a 12, I think it's a 12 spanner on there. Swing this out of the way, get the pads out, and have a really good clean up. I've taken the pads and the retaining clips out. Pads are pretty good, a bit dirty, but I'll clean those up. A little bit of rust on there, basically because the car doesn't get moved as much as it used to. So it just needs a really good run to clean these up. There's plenty of meat on there, so I'm happy about that. The clips need a bit of a clean, so I'll give them a bit of a wire brush and a tidy up. And that's the other retaining bolt. The other one is back in. And what I'm going to do is basically clean the calipers over with some brake parts cleaner and give it a little bit of a scrub over with this sanding pad, just to key the paint up a little bit and smooth it off as best I can, and scrape some areas with the old screwdriver, just to get all the hard to reach areas. When you do this, definitely do not get any paint on this area here, because that is where your retaining clips sit. So if it's out of focus, retaining clips sit, and that can stop your pads from sitting flush and sitting correctly and running true against the disc. As you can see, I got carried away again. I've removed the actual carrier. It is just a couple of 17mm bolts just on the back and go through here from the back. But I would advise soaking them as much as you can with a rust penetrant like WD-40 or a specialist rust remover to try and get into these, because if you've not had these off before, they're a pain in the arse and they can actually shear. One on the back actually did shear a couple of years ago. But this way it gives me a better chance to clean all this shield up. I think I may even take this off at some point. I'm going to try and clean it up as best I can now, and then if I can't get some new ones, I'll just remove it, I think. but then gives me a chance to actually give a really good clean up on the actual carrier. Do this on the bench in the warmth of the workshop, because it's not the warmest day again today, and we can give it a really nice coat of paint. Right, so what started as a caliper paint is turned into a bit of a restoration project. I got the actual dust shield off. I actually just bent those little bits out of the way. You do actually have to take the hub off to actually get these on and off, but when and if I get new ones, I will just cut a little section out there so you can just slide them on. Mix them up really to how it fits. And the only problem I did have was getting this bottom screw out here, which was completely rusted in solid and rounded off. So in the end, I had to use a imperial socket. I think it was 3/8 just to actually get that 10mm off. But lots of penetrating fluid, lots of swearing and some hammering, and it came out quite nicely. But it's not too bad under here. The ball joints look okay. It's just dirty and rusty. So I think what I'm going to do while this is all apart is I give it a really good clean. It's not too bad. I think a bit of a wire brush will clean up quite nicely, and then I'll see about painting this with some direct-to-metal paint, or even might get some Por 15 and put that on there as well, just to clean it all up. The actual dust shield, I think I'm going to just trim it along here, try and neaten it up a little bit. I may paint them and put them back on, but I may see how much they are for new ones, and if they're only cheap, I'll probably get a couple of those and whack them on. I could run it without for now, and then I'll just trim these edges off, make it a slot in, instead of actual taking the hub off to put them on. So a lot more cleaning to do. So I've actually just been online here looking at dust shields, and I think the cheapest I've found is this online carparts.co.uk. They say .co.uk, but I believe it all comes from Germany, and it looks like they have both in stock. Why the left axle is £18.96 and then one is £18.72, I don't know. It's excluding delivery as well, so you're talking probably 50 quid for both. I know probably when I get them I will, see there, we'll probably cut out this piece here and here just to make them fit over the actual hub without me actually taking the actual drive shafts out, etc. But this, I'm probably not going to get these at the moment. I'm probably going to wait till spring, and then I can strip it all down again and rebuild it all with these new parts. But so for now, I think I've got all the parts on the bench over here. So I'm going to have a bit of a factory reset, and then I'm going to see if I can clean this up a little bit more, and then we'll clean up the actual brake carrier and get it all painted. Okay, so I've cleaned the actual carrier up as best it's going to get without actually sandblasting it. There's actually direct to metal paint this. I got this on, I think it was on eBay. Here's a purple, focus, here we go. Purple pearl metallic. This is actual proper brake caliper paint. You can get so many different colours in this make. The blue I had before was from the same company, and that lasted for, like I said, about 5 years. So it does actually work really, really well. So I'm just going to go around gently with this small paintbrush and just take my time, get into all the edges. I'm not going to go onto this area here because that's where the nut sits, or the bolt sits I should say. So I'm going to stay clear of that. And then I'm going to give it a couple of coats. And then when it's all dry, I'll put it all back together. But while it's drying, I can actually paint the actual caliper and tidy up underneath the actual wheel arch while it's all stripped down. So that's the caliper all painted up in the Cadbury's Pearl. I'll just put the light on, see if that... Oh, look at that, that's better. See the pearl in there now. I'm going to give that another coat in a bit, just to make sure I haven't missed any areas, which looks like I have just here. But I'm really happy with that, it's quite a nice colour. Goes with the purple bolts, which are all going to be under the engine bay. Just a bit of a change up from the actual standard blue that I had before, something a bit different. Right, the paint is nice and dry now, But I did notice as I was just cleaning the actual sliders up, that this slider was completely seized in this hole in here. I don't know if you can see in there, if I just show you. I'll focus. Yeah, it's completely rusted in there, and the actual pin was quite rusty, so I'm going to clean that up, give that a bit of a wire brush and a clean, try and clean it out in there as well, and then we're going to whack a lot of grease in there, because that should actually move in there, and that's what your brake actually works on, is on that pivot there, or on that slider. So imagine that's just not going to work correctly, and your brakes are going to stick, and your actual pads aren't going to actually hit the actual disc flat or correctly, so that will stop it from working and make it bind, and that's where you get uneven wear and warped disc, etc. So I do recommend, if you are doing this, just take these out and give them a clean. I think I did a video on it a while ago where I gave the actual brakes a good old clean and cleaned all the pistons up as well. I may even find that and put a link there somewhere so you can have a look at that. So I've actually cleaned the actual slider aperture out with some wet and dry, and it seems a lot better in there now, a lot smoother. The pin is a lot better. Could do with new pins really, so it might be something I'll invest in on the next service. I think you get a new set of pins and some sliders, etc. This slide is really nice, as you can see. Oh, I'm dropping on the floor. That goes in and out quite nicely. So I think the actual seal, this rubber seal here, you can see that goes into that hole there, and I think water's getting behind that. So I may just check for holes, and then I'm going to actually, I've cleaned all this aperture up anyway, so and I've wire brushed the actual edge of the seal, so that should go in there quite nicely. If it doesn't, again, I'll have to get some more seals and things and just completely do a full refurb on the brakes. But again, that's going to be later in the year, I think, something I can invest more time in when it's a lot warmer and I'm not freezing my proverbials off outside on the driveway. I can strip the entire brakes down, change the pistons, all the seals and everything, and do a full refurb at some point in the spring. But for now, this was only supposed to be a quick paint up job, and it's sort of snowballed into a semi-rebuild. So what I'm going to do now is I've got some nice copper grease by car lube. I'm going to pack it out in there a little bit, put some on the slider, put the seal in, and then slide the actual pin in, and hopefully that should stop it from sticking. Right, it's the next morning and it's absolutely freezing today. I think it's not going to get much above 4 or 5 degrees today. This is dried quite nicely. It does look awful, it needs a new one, so that's something I'll be investing in the future. And I've changed the bolts that were in there for nice little stainless ones, tapped them out, put some nice stainless 10mm in there, put a little bit of copper grease on there as well, just to stop them from seizing. So I'm going to pop the disc back on, which I've put some copper grease on the back as well, so that should stop that from seizing onto the actual hub. Just going to pop a knot on there just to secure it while I get all the rest of the brakes built up. Put a little bit of just normal satin black paint on the actual suspension hub for now, until I can actually get some Pour 15 ordered. Must get off my arse and get some of these parts and bits and pieces ordered, but things like life gets in the way. So all I've got to do now is rebuild it and paint the caliper. It looks like I do need a new banjo bolt as well at some point, and a new flexi hose. I've got hell lines on the Nissan, so I'll probably go for the same sort of thing as well. And the previous video I talked about earlier, I also changed the bleed nipples for stainless as well. So I like to go as much stainless as I can on the cars, and then they don't rust. But it does need a lot of work, this, but it's going to be when it's warmer. If the Nissan was charged and the battery, or it's either the battery or the starter motor, stopped working, then I could get that out and get this in there where it's a little bit warmer. But that's another problem for another video. The old Nissan. Okay, I'm going to paint that as well. when it's all back together. Discs are getting rusty. Again, it's just going to clean up that when I go for a run. They're not too bad, still got some thickness to them. This is inevitable, rust in here, but I may get some new discs as well when I do the full refurb. So what I'm going to do now is get the carrier back on, and then we'll start thinking about painting the caliper, which is what the video was supposed to be all about. FT. So that's one light coat, and I think it's going to look okay when it's had another coat to build up and fill some of these actual crevices and things, but really it all needs sandblast, stripping down and sandblasting, or stripping back and sanding by hand like I did with the Nissan, and make them all nice and smooth. But it's going to look quite nice, I think. Nice purple. You see with the light on, I can see a few areas I've missed, like in there. So what I'll do, I think, is let that dry for about 10-15 minutes, come back, do another coat, and then I'm going to leave it overnight and may even do another coat in the morning. And then I've got all the other three to do. Pads are back in, a little bit of grease on the actual retaining clips on this side and on this side, and it's all running nice and true. So all I've got to do now is wait for that to dry, put it back together, final coat, a few little touch-ins, and this side is finished. Right, so I thought it was cold yesterday, but today is absolutely freezing. We have actually got snow forecast for this evening, so I'm going to try and get this done as quick as possible. I've just given it a last coat of paint, it's all fitted up. But yeah, it looks better. So it's taken me about a day and a half to do that one caliper, when it really should have just taken me half an hour just to paint it. Now I've just got the other three to do. So what I'm going to do now though, I think, as it's so cold, I'm going to get the wheel on, and I think I shall continue the rest on another day. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, drop me a comment below, tell me if you like the colour or not. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.